So, what if I told you there's a single skill that could help you make better decisions, solve problems way more effectively, and even improve your relationships? Well, that's exactly what we're breaking down today. We're talking about critical thinking. Let's get into it.
You know the people I'm talking about, right? The ones who just seem to glide through complicated problems while the rest of us get tangled up? The secret isn't luck, and it's not some kind of built-in genius. It's a specific skill, and here's the best part, anyone can learn it. Now, critical thinking gets a bad rap sometimes. People think it's about being, well, critical, just finding fault or winning arguments. But that's not it at all. It's really a disciplined way of looking at information to come to solid, well-thought-out conclusions. It's about choosing clarity over conflict. And here's probably the biggest myth we need to bust right now. You're not just born a critical thinker. It's a skill. Think of it like a muscle. The more you work it out, the stronger it gets. So yeah, everyone can build this. Okay, so how do we start building up this mental muscle? Well, the whole journey actually begins by turning our focus inward. The very first step is to just think about how you think. Just imagine your mind is this huge, unexplored land, full of its own unique landscape, hidden paths, and maybe a few tricky spots. To get around in there without getting lost, you first need a map of the terrain. In making that map, that's what we call self-awareness. And self-awareness is, without a doubt, the absolute cornerstone of critical thinking. It's that ability to kind of step back and just watch your own mind work, to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment, like you're watching a movie. That's how you start to see your own mental patterns. So how do you build it? Here are 3 really powerful ways. Practicing mindfulness helps keep you anchored in the here and now. Journaling is amazing for seeing your thought patterns laid out over time. And getting honest feedback from people you trust, that can show you blind spots you would literally never see on your own.
All right, so once you start observing your own mind, you're going to run into a few roadblocks. We all have them. These are your mental blind spots, or as they're more formally known, cognitive biases.
Now, having cognitive biases doesn't mean you're flawed. It just means you're human. Our brains create these little mental shortcuts to process a crazy amount of information really fast. The only problem is, these shortcuts can often point us in the wrong direction, and we don't even realize it's happening. For example, there's confirmation bias, which is our brain's tendency to just love information that proves we're right. Or the anchoring effect. That's why the first price you see in a negotiation has such a huge impact. And then there's the availability heuristic, which is why a single vivid story about a shark attack feels way scarier than the actual statistics on your risk of being bitten. Confirmation bias basically works like a filter for reality. We go out looking for stuff that backs up what we already believe, and we subconsciously just tune out anything that challenges it. You do that long enough, and you end up in a powerful echo chamber inside your own head. Okay, so we're getting familiar with our own internal landscape, and we know where the traps are. Now it's time to actually build the toolkit we need to navigate all of it effectively. Remember being an explorer in that vast territory of your mind? Well, just like any explorer needs a map and a compass, a critical thinker needs 2 essential tools to navigate the wilderness of information: logical reasoning and evidence-based thinking. So, logical reasoning starts with learning to spot common logic traps, also called fallacies. You've seen these a million times. When somebody attacks the person making an argument instead of the argument itself, that's an ad hominem attack. Or when you're told, hey, it's either this or that, when there are actually tons of other options, that's a false dichotomy. Spotting these is like having a superpower. But logic alone isn't enough. It needs fuel, and that fuel is evidence. Evidence-based thinking just means you ground your conclusions in things that can be verified, facts, data, not just on a gut feeling or a story you heard. It's about getting in the habit of asking, so what's the proof? All right, we've got our toolkit. So how do we actually apply it to the messy, complicated problems we all face in the real world? This is where it all gets very practical.
You know, a really tough problem can feel like a giant tangled knot of string. It just looks impossible. You don't even know where to start pulling. But here's the thing. Just like a real knot, any problem, no matter how big and scary it looks, can be unraveled if you have a system. And here is a 5-step framework that can turn any mess into a clear process. First, define the real problem, not just the symptoms. 2, gather your facts. 3, just brainstorm as many solutions as you can think of, no judgment. 4, evaluate those options critically. And 5,
Pick one, try it out, and see what happens. It's simple, it's structured, and it is so effective. Finally, let's talk about the mindset that holds all of this together. Because the goal isn't just to use these tools every once in a while. The goal is to become a truly resilient thinker for the rest of your life. Think of mental resilience like being a giant oak tree in a storm. It's not about the storm never happening. It's about having roots that are deep enough to let you bend without breaking. And believe it or not, to actually come out stronger on the other side. At the heart of this resilience is your mindsets. With a fixed mindset, failure feels like a final judgment. It's the end of the road. But with a growth mindset, which is the mindset of a critical thinker, failure isn't the end. It's just feedback. It's a chance to learn, to adapt, and to get better. You start to see challenges as the only real way to grow. So we've covered the tools, the techniques, and the mindset. The only thing left now is for you to take that first step. The journey to becoming a clearer, sharper, more effective thinker starts with a really simple question. Are you ready to challenge your own assumptions and unlock what you're truly capable of?